was saying, so the Meraki solution pretty much consists of files and SD-WAN, switching, wireless, smart cameras, MDM, and also application monitoring. Now, the main differentiator for Meraki really is the ability to manage your entire networking estate in one place through our single pane of glass dashboard that you'll see a little bit later on in the session, which pretty much can be accessed anytime, anywhere, with the only prerequisite being an internet connection. So this provides huge flexibility in today's society and promotes a very easy and simple experience. You'll also have access to a number of sophisticated features at your fingertips, including things like remote troubleshooting, configuration, and proactive analytics that pretty much are geared around saving time, costs, and maximising uptime as a business. Are there any questions so far? If anyone has anything, just ping it in the chat, and we can answer everything in our Q&A question a little bit later on. If I run through the kind of benefits of Cisco Meraki, because ultimately I'm sure you guys are wondering, how can this platform benefit you as a business? So most probably the main value that is instantly noticed by our customers would be the significant time and cost savings that our solution drives. This is all really stemmed from the remote management capability. Rather than having to do things like send dedicated engineers and staff to sites to push out configs or fixes, everything can be attended to in our dashboard. It's also worth noting that all of our kit is totally plug and play with zero-touch provisioning, meaning you actually can pre-configure a device before it even arrives at site. So this can free up a lot of your time to focus on most likely the more pressing areas of your role rather than just looking after the network. And it's also especially powerful in businesses where IT teams are fairly lean and already stretched. And so this probably dovetails on quite nicely to then the user-friendly and easy-to-use experience that the dashboard drives. You'll see the real-time usability a little later, but unlike other vendors, to be a user of Meraki, you don't actually need to have any specialist accreditations or have to invest in additional staff to manage the platform, just because it is so intuitive and simple to use. Probably also worth noting that Meraki was actually built from the ground up as a cloud solution. We do see in the market that since a larger business focus is geared around cloud infrastructure at present, traditionally on-premise solutions have been trying to shoehorn their offerings into a cloud option, which can sometimes make the experience quite clunky and sometimes complex. Whereas Meraki have organically evolved in the cloud, meaning our offering is the most seamless option available. Another hugely important aspect of our networking solution is, of course, security. So as threats and breach attempts rise, every business wants to ensure that their systems are secure and also protected. So the great thing about Meraki being under the Cisco umbrella is we have the reliability and proven success of Cisco, but also we have integrations with their leading security systems like Cisco Talos, advanced malware protection, and IDS and IPS, which are all available through the Meraki platform. And just to cover on the standardization piece, as Meraki are a full stack vendor, you actually have the ability to consolidate your entire end-to-end internal network in one place, which is hugely compelling. And this promotes an easier management and support experience, as well as providing a way to centralize your own business processes and almost formulate a blueprint on how you want to run your network or networks company-wide. We see a lot of our customers utilizing this capability, also to improve their ability to scale up and onboard new sites to support growth ambitions. Another key aspect of Meraki is the visibility that the solution drives. So you actually have the ability to have a holistic overview at an organisation level, but also drill down into quite granular detail. That provided with our rich data and analytics really arms you with the best information to be able to be more preventative in your network rather than just reactive to maybe issues that you might be faced with. And finally, our unique licensing and 24/7 support is also something that customers see a lot of value from. Included within our license is not just a dashboard, but also you get full 24/7 support with our dedicated Meraki team. You have all of your advanced replacement and in most options lifetime warranty on the majority of our kit. You have full patching and also feature and firmware upgrades and updates. So you're not just stuck at the version of the platform that you purchase. If within the time that you're a Meraki customer, any new features are formulated and rolled out, you will also see the benefit as a customer. So hopefully that gives you kind of like a bit of an insight into the key benefits of Meraki. But also we've been doing a lot of work with customers at present, specifically during the pandemic. It's been a hugely difficult time for majority of businesses, and we really have been focused on how we can still enable customers to keep their network secure and easy to manage during these unprecedented times. So one of the big things we've been helping with is remote working. Things like our VPN settings can be configured in simply a few clicks. You can provide all of your end users access and secure access at that to all of the necessary corporate resources. And we also have an option, essentially our office in a box, which is our Z3 device, allowing users from home to be able to replicate their full office setup by including things like plugging in desk phones and any other Ethernet devices to really provide that seamless office scenario. And it's also very important for customers to still be in control of their systems from home, because you want to have that flexible access. You want to still be able to access all of your infrastructure, even if you're not necessarily in the office. And also through things like our camera platform, we have been able to ensure security of sites that have been vacant for quite a long time by providing all of that information and all of those updates purely through the dashboard. And finally, as I touched on earlier, there is a large drive in the industry at the moment for a lot of cloud-based and SaaS applications that a lot of businesses are quite reliant on, specifically with their users accessing from home. So we actually have a solution named Meraki Insight, which allows you to monitor the performance of those applications and ensure that the quality of service and performance that your end users are seeing is always at an optimum. So that's probably enough talking from me. So if I hand over to my colleague Ben to actually give you a bit of an insight into the dashboard. I know I've spoken about it a lot this morning, so it's great to have the opportunity to actually show you guys some of the features and functionality that you may be able to see as a Meraki customer.
So the gateways, so yeah, quite a few devices we can manage in the one portal. Let's kick things off. I'll kind of start showing you the visibility that we get from the cloud platform and how it all ties together all the products. So I'll go to network-wide clients, and all of our products, so our security appliance, our switching, and our wireless, will track devices on the networks as they connect. They'll be created as a unique user, and we'll start tracking layer 3 and layer 7 usage if you want to. So from this pane of glass here, we can see how much traffic's being used. We see the device types. We can see, if I click into here and add user, what user has logged into those devices or authenticated to the network, so we can pull up those users. We can start reporting out on application usage. So if I click on this pie graph here, we can see all the different types of layer 7 categories that have been accessed. So in our work environment, we're on a lot of sales calls, so we want to see WebEx, SIP, and Skype up there, Office 365 for our emails. But we don't want to see YouTube, Amazon Video, BBC iPlayer, and Netflix in terms of our application usage, because that kind of leads to the use of, what are people doing in the office. So with that information, we could start applying block rules, shaping. We might notice that there's a huge spike around lunchtime, everyone watching YouTube and Netflix, so it's using all our bandwidth, so maybe we can shape that down and deprioritize that. But maybe there's one individual that has been watching football constantly and you want to bring up that individual. So we could search, in this example, Beth, I'm going to use you. So hopefully you've been working hard today. So you can see we've got Beth Noble here. She's VPN'd in. This is a little VPN icon. So I'll click on her device here. And it'll bring it to the specific device page. So you can see the status of the user. So they're currently connected as user Bethany with the Windows 10 device type. We can see that she's got a bit of usage this morning, so probably working off the VPN before she come on. And we can see what types of applications that she's been doing. So WebEx up there quite high, which is great to see. Some Google, some SharePoint, and some Windows file sharing. And you'll also probably note these grayed out URLs here. That's just the type of tracking that we're doing. So we're not tracking detailed host names due to, obviously, this is a corporate environment, but you can also turn that on and get more detailed insight into what users are going to. So that's quickly just filtering down for Beth. VPN, not too much usage because it's connecting in, not too much information, they're just connecting in. We can see what traffic they're doing. Here shows the Insight application. So we're seeing that it's tracking all the SaaS applications. So Beth's been using Office 365. This tells us it's got a score of 97, so it's performing well. But if it was performing poorly, maybe Beth made a claim to say her emails are very slow, they're not sending. You could come in here, check to see if Office 365 is having problems. If it is, click in there and do some further troubleshooting. So that insight's really about speech resolution of problems, about telling you where that would lie. But if I go back and find another type of user that's on a local network, so maybe like a wireless user, we start seeing more of that client story. So if I filter for some wireless users, and top usage up here, Miriam Evans, so we'll click on her laptop here. And because they're on the Meraki Wi-Fi, we can start seeing things like what SSID they're on, which access point they're connected to, the signal strength, whereabouts in the building they are. So if this user is complaining about poor Wi-Fi, we can see that they're directly under an AP with the neighboring AP close by. The signal strength is great. We can see that they're on a newer MacBook, which is capable of AC Wi-Fi, so should be up to the task. And we can see from the client connection story here that as we go through the full Meraki stack, that each connection point is healthy. So that's what the little green ticks indicate. So if we did see that an AP was overutilized, we would see some crosses in there, some notes about why it's overutilized. So here, on the 5 GHz radio, minimal usage, that connects to this switch port. On port 1, it's a trunk native VLAN 1. There's no problems there, no layer 2 or physical errors on the ports. So the switches will track any CRC errors or collisions or anything like that. So that's all good. And then we'll start tracking some issues like DNS radius or layer 3 routing issues, which we don't detect either. So we might see some issues here where DNS server's not responding, DHCP is not working on one of our switches, so maybe that's what's flagging up. Or we're seeing high broadcast packets, for example, and then leading out all the way to our security appliance at the edge, which is showing that we've got no packet loss to Google there and minimal latency. So we'd expect this user to be having a good time. We can very quickly tell that this user is having a good experience. So it's not looking like anything on the network. It's probably something with the physical device itself. Give it the old reboot, and that should bring it back to good health. But if we want to check the AP itself, I could easily click into the access point 7.1 here. And it's going to bring me up to that access point. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned is that all of our products are fully cloud managed. So no on-site CL access, no controllers. Essentially, you buy your order from Meraki, you claim that into the dashboard with your order number, and that will pull in all the devices and all the serial numbers, which then we can start adding to our networks, like this AP here. And this AP could still be in a box, could still be getting shipped out to site, but we could configure all of our SSIDs, our firewall traffic shaping policies. So all the end user has to do is unbox it, plug it into the cable. As long as it gets power over Ethernet and it gets an IP address, it will then phone home, or actually connect to the Meraki dashboard, register to your account, download the configuration file, and update the firmware. So, and that's the same process for 1 device, 10 devices, or we've got customers with thousands of devices, and the rollout is exactly the same. You've got your network config, you just add devices, and they'll pull down the new configuration. So, really reduces the deployment time versus traditional deployments of coding devices and then shipping out to site. So we'll see all the visibility information from here, from the AP view. So left-hand side will always show the management information, so the IP address, the gateway, stuff like that. In the middle will show us the current information, so we can see how many clients are currently connected, the health of the device, has it been disconnected, has it had to go in repeater mode and connect to a nearby AP to remain online because there's a layer 2 issue there or a layer 3 issue. We'll start seeing more of the health story in here as well. So where we saw on the client's page, the client health story, we can now see it from an AP view and how it views its clients. So it could be a potential AP problem. We see that clients can't connect. That's not really the case. Most can connect, but the problem being the corporate SSID. So if we go up to connections here, it will tell us whereabouts we're seeing some failures. So we are seeing failures on the authentication side and the DHCP side. And we can see what type of device are actually having that failure. So this device here, 80, failed to authenticate because it couldn't get a DHCP server. So we could investigate that further and see, is it a particular VLAN or that AP in that switch that is dropping that DHCP discover packet or the offer coming back. So from there, because again, we're in a full stack, we can come here and see where our AP is connected into our switches. So I could connect onto port 1 here. That will bring me into our Meraki switch. And I can see here it's giving an amber light and telling me that this switch stack is configured differently to the other members. So maybe someone's unplugged a cable, something like that. I probably got an email alert or a webhook alert. That's why I'm in the dashboard. So because everything's managed by the cloud, you can set up these proactive alerts if anything goes offline, if a switch port downshifts or has a port errors. So if it's connecting to an always-on server and it goes from a gig to 100 meg, or you start seeing errors on that port, that as well can trigger an alert out to your infrastructure team or your IT team to come and investigate straight away. So you're proactively alerting to these problems rather than finding out after tickets have been raised and you're coming in trying to troubleshoot. But very quickly, I can see from the summary view here all of my ports that are connected. The lightning bolts mean that there's a PoE device there, so that was where our AP was. I could easily configure this port from here. So I click on the configuration item here. Maybe it was a trunk, but now I want it to be an access for our desk phones. Our data is VLAN 1 and our voice VLAN is 2. So if I configure that, hit update, they'll push the config file down to the switch. It will then re-enable with this new port config, and the phone would be able to get its new IP address on that VLAN. Then we could see some troubleshooting information, perhaps, like what device is connected, what devices are passing traffic through that. So because it's an AP, we're seeing multiple different MAC addresses on that switch port. I could run a cable test on this port. So if we are thinking, this potentially is a cabling issue, so I could easily run a test here. It's going to come back and tell me the length of the cable and if any pairs are faulty. So instead of having to go on site now, I can quickly do that by the UI. And lastly, cycle the port. So if you need to recycle a phone, any sort of PoE device, I can click this button here. It'll do that power cycle for me. Now, as we kind of go up the stack, I could click into topology view here. And also I could go to network-wide topology, which is a dynamic way that our switches build out the lay of the land of our network. So we can see here, this is a dynamic view of our network. As we add devices in here, this will always change. So we can see where our APs are connected. We can see here that, okay, we've got a switch that's offline for 10 days. So someone should be probably looking at that, but no one's in the office really right now. So probably not a priority for IT. But we've also got most other members in the stack still online. So that's the benefit of having a stack, is you lose a member, but the rest of the access stack will keep functioning. We can then see it goes out to our core switch, which we've got a second core switch here as well, and also our security appliances off to the side. So if I want to look at how this goes out to the internet, click into our Finsbury security side of things here. And again, very much the same view as our AP switches and security appliance. So you don't have to relearn the lay of the land with configuring devices, because we are fully cloud managed from the ground up. Everything's built to be uniform and the same and easy to manage. I guess that's kind of our main thing here, is easy to manage, and you can focus on doing other things rather than just getting your network configured. So I'm checking here my security appliances. We've got 2 in an active passive pair for hardware redundancy. We've got all of our MX models come with 2 WAN uplinks for redundancy as well. So you could have anything with Ethernet handoff. So it could be fiber to the cabinet, it could be DSL, it could be a 4G modem that has an Ethernet handoff, MPLS, so anything like that. And we can have active, passive on those links, so failover, and if one of the lines goes down. We can do SD-WAN across both those links. So we can be resilient in hardware and in our internet lines as well. And also power, so some models come with redundant power as well. Again, we can see if we've had any outages, so we can filter back for the last month if I want to. We'll go back for the last week, see if we've had anything, disconnections. No, we'll look pretty good. And we can check out our live uplink information here. So what's currently traversing this security appliance. So we can see WAN 2 quite heavily utilized, and WAN 1 pretty much doing nothing, just sitting there in idle with a few bits of traffic. But we can see also if there's reports of latency issues or slowness, we can check here and see what looks like back on September 30th at midnight, there was an increase in latency and packet loss here, not too much, but we can investigate those or report that to our ISP. We can also track other services as well. So if you've got a DC or HQ or sites you're constantly communicating with, you want to track the loss of latency to those, then you could do that to easily jump back in time and see what might have happened at those periods. I'll take a quick breath there. And Beth, how are we doing for time? How much time do I have left?
We've probably got another 5 minutes, Ben.
Okay. Perfect. Anything you think I should showcase to the guys?
I think probably Meraki Insight might be a good bit to touch on, just because obviously it's quite relevant during the pandemic.
Yeah, sure. So this is a software overlay that sits on security appliances in our home teleworker devices. So I guess the benefit of this is, even though users might have a VPN back to HQ, I guess the visibility is quite limited in what you can see and how you can troubleshoot what the user is doing. So what a lot of customers are doing is buying a teleworker device that can VPN or SD-WAN into a MX device at your headquarters. And because we use our own VPN technology, the ISPs can't block that like a typical client VPN might do. So the upstream ISP or the router they have on that location might be blocking those ports. And also if you're behind, if you're on cellular, something like that, so carrier grade NAT may prevent that VPN from performing. Because of our VPN technology, we can punch through those firewalls or through those NATs to form a tunnels. Then you start getting visibility, so you can see all these things like uplink information, lost latency, the clients are connecting. You can make sure they securely connect to those devices via 821X, so ready authentication. So the family members can't plug in their laptop; they might have viruses and stuff on there. But really, it's about giving you power to see that new work from home office live now. So extending your corporate environment into the home and how you can best help those users. So Insight's kind of an extension of that because it sits on top of those devices. Allows us to track those critical SaaS applications. So here for us, we've got quite a few that we've configured to track. So for us, Cisco Commerce, the Meraki websites, Salesforce, Office 365. So if I go back perhaps to the last day to try and get some further data, we can see from all of our networks whereabouts we're seeing these SaaS application issues. So okay, we see in here Cisco Commerce. So obviously we need that to process our sales. Very important to our sales staff. So we want to make sure that's always optimized. So 2 out of 6 networks are affected. So I can click into that one. And it's showing me that Sydney's fine, but we're seeing some issues regionally in San Francisco and in London. So I'll click into London because that's our time zone right now. Maybe there's tickets that are coming in. So it'll go away and pull that information for me. And what we see here is the performance score of this application. So if we look for the last day, application-wise, so we are seeing some responses that are taking quite a long time here, so above the second threshold, which is not much, but if we are seeing that constantly, that's probably a high load somewhere on our network. We can filter that by WAN side. So we are seeing that the WAN is showing some issues there. The LAN side is looking pretty good. So latency is quite low, usage is quite low. But more importantly, we can drill it down to a client level. So as we saw from when we pulled up Beth's client VPN session, we could see some SaaS applications being tracked there. And Office 365 was good. That's mostly things that she was using. But if it was going on Cisco Commerce, that could be tracked as well. And we could filter for those clients there. Or we could just filter by the highest response times and see what clients are being most affected. And lastly, we could drill down to the servers here. So which of the servers are poor performing? If this is your own SaaS-based application, you can track your servers, and perhaps you can raise it to the infrastructure team to say, these IP addresses are taking way too long to respond. For us, you could just block those servers until raise a ticket with Cisco Commerce, Office 365, any of the SaaS vendors to say, hey, it's regionally a problem. But generally, we're going to see this problem before the SaaS vendors report any wide-scale outages. So things like Google Google Drive or Gmail as G Suite products. So we put a couple of blog articles out when we first released Insight that we recognize a problem before Google officially announced any problems. So again, it's kind of that speed to resolution of, okay, where in my network am I seeing these problems? Is it as the client sends the packet from their machine to the teleworker device to the MX? That would be the LAN, so in transit. And then how long does it take for the MX device to send it out to the web server? Then how long does the web server take to respond? So that's the 3 points we'll track. So you'll see LAN, WAN, or server side to very quickly report who the responsibility lies with that issue. And you could easily send out email blasts to your employees to say, hey, this SaaS application is affected, bear with us while we investigate further. So you're getting on top of these tickets rather than being behind and getting them raised. Lastly, 2 points left on the VoIP, on the Insight side of things is there's 2 additional things included with that license. So there's the WAN Health, which shows you all of your uplinks in one single page. So we can see any issues here very quickly. If it's overutilized the link, so if you have a 100 meg line and it's at 99 meg, it will tell you it's highly overutilized. We can see quickly if you've had any outages here, so no connectivity, loss, latency, jitter, any affected apps on those links, and if they're using cellular, what the cellular strength is. And lastly is Voip Health. So from here we can track our SaaS VoIP servers and also now our on-site servers. So for us, I'll go back a second. We can see we're tracking all our new voice media, which is very important to our support organization. So obviously, we want them to be 100% on the phones, assisting our customers, any problems or questions that they may have. So here we can see very quickly if any of these VoIP providers are having issues, and then drill into that. Even run a trace route to see, okay, where in the chain are we seeing these problems? So a hop-by-hop analysis to say, is it the ISP, internet, or is it when we get to the VoIP server that we see this increased loss or latency? So that finishes up here in a second. Can have a look at that. But we see everything's looking fine, so it's not reported any problems. So yeah, that's kind of everything for me.
Perfect, thank you, Ben. So hopefully that was useful, everyone. I just want to share one final quick slide on the Meraki piece. If you give me just a second, hopefully kind of what Ben and I have spoken through this morning gives you a good kind of insight and introduction to Cisco Meraki. And it's great to have the opportunity to actually show you the platform, but something that we're big advocates of is actually getting kit in our customers' hands, so you can actually see the viability of the solution and actually understand if it's going to be an option that's going to drive some value for your business. So quite a unique offer we have running at the moment is called our Cloud Starter Kit. It's very unique to Meraki and essentially gives you the ability to trial our entire portfolio of products. So you get an access point, a switch, a firewall, a camera, 10 licenses of our mobile device management, and also our Meraki Insight application monitoring that Ben's kind of just run through. And during that period, you are treated exactly like a full Meraki customer. You have 24/7 implementation and trial support. If needed, we can arrange follow-up live demos with either myself and Ben or our counterparts. To actually run you through areas of the platform that are going to specifically drive the most value for you as a business. And you have the ability to trial that kit for 28 days. But it's totally free, no obligation. If you're interested, all you need to do is get in touch with your ATS account manager and just let them know that you'd like to look at the Cloud Starter Kit. We can get all of our suite of products out to you within 1 to 2 days, and you can test for that 28 days totally free of charge. At the end of that period, if you don't feel it's a good solution for you, you can simply send the kit back, no obligation. Or if you did think that it's something that could be viable, then we can look at kind of options off the back of that. But no obligation, and a kind of a great offer that we have available at the moment. So if you are of interest, please reach out to Race's account manager, and it would be great to get some kit out to you guys.
So my name is Fiona Doak, and I am the EMEA partner manager here at Duo. I've been with Duo for just over 3 years. So I came to Duo prior to the Cisco acquisition. Duo. So what do we do? So I'm not sure how much exposure any of you have had to Duo in the past, but essentially Duo was set up about 13 years ago. And the purpose of the company, Doug and Jono sat down as the founders, and they were looking at the whole journey to the cloud, and how do we take a legacy security infrastructure that we were all so well used to in terms of being able to determine user access and how we identify the user in a device, and realize that actually there wasn't anything that was really fit for purpose in their opinion, in sort of bridging legacy applications and legacy authentication systems. And I used to work for RSA many years ago, so I've kind of been a part of that. And that journey to the cloud that many organizations were going on, where they were looking at mixing on-prem and cloud applications, and how do you provide a security system that does the three things that ultimately are the most important linchpins of any security infrastructure, because everything starts with a user. So from there, you have to build on that. So they looked at three things, and we care about three things at Duo. So we care about the user themselves, who they are. We care about the device that they're accessing from, and we care about the applications that they're trying to access. So it's those three things, and the whole Cisco Duo Zero Trust solution has been built around that, exactly that. So we care about the users, we care about devices, and we care about the applications that they're going to. And how we do that is instead of enabling through sort of legacy systems, you're sending out tokens or getting people to use complex passwords along with their normal user ID. We came to a point where we felt that push notification to a device of that user's choosing is the most effective way of being able to mass deploy a true MFA, it's a multi-factor authentication solution, to determine that you, Fiona Doak, are the user that you say you are, because you have a mobile phone subscribed to the Duo service, and that's where we send the push notification to. And those devices could be anything. That could be an Apple Watch. It could actually be a landline that has an SMS set up for it. It could, if you want to deploy tokens, there are some environments today where they still, because of the protected nature of the environment they're in, they need to have some kind of token that they would use. We advocate the use of YubiKeys. We can also work with HID type devices as well. But the whole premise of this is that we can absolutely determine that you are the user and that's your device. And then we can help the users in terms of the device that they're using. We can help keep that device clean by the setup that they use. So when you download, when you subscribe to a Duo service, users will get to enroll through an email system that's sent to them by their IT department. And it's a very simple process, and it's very picture centric, because we try to make these things very simple here at Duo. So you'll get a little freeze frame that says, right, okay, you are Fiona Doak and you've been elected to use this service. Do you want to use your mobile phone? Do you want to use an iPad device? Is it an Apple Watch? And the service is a subscription service. It's very much a SaaS solution. So it's sold on a 1 year or 3 year basis, and it's per user. So you can have as many devices attached to it as you want to. I have 4 actually. I have a mobile phone, 2 iPads, because I have my daughter's iPad signed up to it, and my PC. So it doesn't matter how many devices that user has, as long as they're all registered. That's completely irrelevant. It's just that we need to make sure that when the device is authenticating, that we know where to have the push notification sent to. And it's a yes or a no answer. So when if you haven't used Duo before, there's a website that you can actually try Duo for yourself, which is called demo.duo.com, and we'll send you the link afterwards and the link to the presentation I should be using. And you can play with it there, and you can actually see, you can click on various little demo icons, and it shows you how Duo logs it in. But essentially, if I go to access Salesforce in the morning, which is protected by Duo, and you know, I have to do that before I get any further, I click in, and we don't replace primary authentication, so I will do my whole username and password piece first, and then I'll be challenged, and it will come up with a little window that says, this is protected by Duo security, you need to authenticate. So you click send me a push, and then a push will, I use my mobile phone as my main authentication method on a daily basis. And then a push notification will be sent to my phone, and I will confirm or deny that. You know, and in the main, I will always confirm it, because generally I've asked for that to be that device to be used as the authentication method. And once we've done that, what we can also do, because we have that device registered as a device within the system itself, we can help the user by determining how clean that device is. When the user enrolls, they'll download the app so that they can associate that device with the service. And in the app, you can click on a little security check that will say things like, you know, your iOS is out of date, so you might need to update that, or your administrator might not let you in. I'm quite lazy. That happens to me on a few occasions. It can determine whether you've got face or fingertip enabled for the security of the device. It can determine whether it's jailbroken in any or has any kind of discrepancy, so that we can help the user keep their device up to date. And just going back to the iOS piece, with Duo, we have to be one iOS. We have to be current iOS or half behind. I can't be 2 iOS versions out of date. And actually, it happened to me last week. I'd authenticated a couple of times, and I kind of got a little message saying your iOS is out of date in terms of, you know, how we see the posture set by Duo. So at the end of the week, we won't allow you to authenticate until you've updated your iOS. So it's just something that you can help users keep their own iOSs up to date and keep everything current. And then what we can do is, once we've identified that you, Fiona, are the user, this is the device that you're authenticating with, and we've approved you as a user into the system or the applications that you're trying to get access to, we can then start to get a lot more diligent around the user, the device, the location of where they are, and then create policy around that. So, for example, if we were in a normal situation, which of course we're not at the moment because we're in a very online virtual world, but normally I would travel a fair amount. So I would get on a plane, fly to Paris, go to our Paris office, sit down at a hot desk, open my laptop and log in and be that very expectant user that we all are, and assume I have access to everything I need. So let's say I did that and I then authenticated into an application like Salesforce. The first thing that would happen on the back end is, as I'm authenticating, it will check to see if I am permitted to access that application from that particular geolocation. And I probably would be, so that would be fine. But if I moved into an area like, I don't know, let's say North Korea or something, and I then went to access Salesforce, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be able to do anything at all, and I certainly wouldn't be able to get into Salesforce. And actually, a true story, because I always think these kind of things help when you're talking about such instances, is when I first joined Duo, I had a holiday booked, and in my spare time, I'm a scuba diver, and so is my partner, and he and I bought an apartment in Egypt many years ago, and we tend to go out there normally on a fairly regular basis. And I was quite new to the company, and I'm also not very good at not reading my email on holiday, because I just kind of like to get it out of the way, and I don't want to come back to an email box that's, you know, that's creaking at the seams. So I was in our apartment one Tuesday morning, just eating my breakfast, flicking through my emails, and I saw somebody asking a question, and I thought, oh, I compiled a little Salesforce report for that. I'll send it to them. So I skipped off to Salesforce to get the report, went to authenticate, and I got a little sad face. And as I said earlier, you know, we're very granular at Duo. And so this little sad face had a little message underneath that said, the application that you're trying to access is not deemed possible because you're currently in a geolocation that's not preferred. So what that meant was that in the afternoon, I had to ring the Americans and say, you need to give me access, because I will be in the Middle East and Africa, because that's another part of my territory quite a lot. So I'm going to need access from this part of the globe, which again, I hope gives you a flavour of how granular this can be, because the whole Duo system is built around policy, and those policies are completely customizable by the customer that's subscribing to the system. So it's completely driven by how the user and the organization that's adopting the service wants to actually use that service. So you can manage people, groups of users, and different token and different device authentication choices as per the wishes of you and your wider user team. So it's a very flexible service, but at its, you know, in its rawest form, the whole point of what we do is to help organizations have users scattered around the world, as we do indeed today. And nobody could have predicted, you know, how this would go this year. But we, you know, just through the whole initial COVID system, and indeed now, there are many organizations out there today thinking, right, how do we deploy big groups of users and deploy them to other areas that we wouldn't normally have had them in? So offices that have, you know, all had to send people to work from home. You know, Duo is a quick and effective and very secure system. It's very seamless, so it enables organizations to roll it out very quickly. So we've stood organizations up where they've literally deployed thousands of users in hours, you know, minutes and hours, not days, weeks, in terms of deploying this kind of system, and indeed stood up many NHS environments that obviously clearly needed to do the same thing. So it's an incredibly flexible system. It's incredibly intuitive, and it's, you know, at the heart of it, it's very seamless and it's very secure. And the other thing that we do, and we did well, very well, before the acquisition of Cisco, but of course, you know, rapidly increased it, you know, as we became part of the whole Cisco ecosystem, is that we integrate with everything. So there is a page on our website, and I would urge you, if you don't remember anything else from this presentation, apart from the seamless and the security of it, is there's a place on our website called duo.com/docs. And again, we can send you these links afterwards. There you will find every integration guide to any type of you know, VPN, of any on-prem, of any cloud-based system that you can really, you know, name and something that you actively use in your daily lives. If it's not there, and we have software development toolkits and language toolkits built, so that if you have a homegrown application, you can also build, you know, Duo into that. The whole point of all of this was Doug and Jono wanted everybody to be able to use Duo in whatever type of environment that they had, and whatever other applications, etc., they wanted to integrate into. So that part of our website is massively useful for all of our customers, you know, day in and day out. And if it's not there for whatever reason, we will write it. But for example, we have, obviously we have great integration into all of the Cisco solutions, including Meraki and Umbrella and AnyConnect and everything, so that we can absolutely allow our customers to have that kind of safe, be safe and secure in the knowledge that they're fronting, all of their applications and their systems using Duo, and then integrating those into their applications and the technologies that they're using behind that. So I hope that's given you a flavour of what Duo do without seeing any pictures, which I appreciate. It's really difficult, and I've just seen a note. We will be sending the presentation out. But finally, I think to give you a flavour of the types of organisations that use Duo, I'm often asked if there are particular verticals or indeed, different types of organisations that use Duo. It's wide and varied. All our case studies are called use cases on our website if you want to have a look, and there are thousands. We have a lot of customers that are very keen to share their experiences. So people like Facebook, University of Manchester, University of Sunderland, Eventbrite, Withers. As I say, in the interest of time, if you want to start a trial of Duo, please speak to ACS, because they can help you very easily and quickly start a trial of Duo, and you can play with it for yourselves. You can get a full-blown version of the product for a month. We can extend that if you want to run a full POV. We can support ACS and yourselves in doing that. I would urge you to try it if you haven't tried it before. When I first joined the company, I happened to be sat at an end user event that we were running next to a customer that already had Duo. And in the break, I said to him, "So, you thinking of using Duo?" He goes, "Thinking of using it. We use it already." He said, he said it took us 45 minutes to set it up. He said, "I had 250 users enrolled in an hour." He said, "I'm happy to talk to anybody here about how quickly and easily and effective and secure that made us as an organization and made our users feel." And he said, and it made me look good really quickly, because he said, when I said we were going to roll it out, at speed, nobody believed me. And I just think that's just one of the nicest testaments I've ever heard in terms of people integrating and using Duo. So thank you very much. I'll finish there. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.